All right, this is a lot better. Perfect. Sorry about all the confusion, everyone. Wait for some people to hop in. Had everything ready to go. I wanted to try YouTube because I wanted the comments to show up a little bit better, make it easier on myself. So I read those so I didn't have to get really close to the screen, but we're going to make this work. And if, I'm about 12 minutes late, so if it doesn't work out tonight, that's okay. But we're going to figure out exactly what's going on. Anna, or is it Anna? Which way do you pronounce that? Anna or Anna? Aaron Beckman, welcome to the show. Tonight, really not that many topics. I was going to talk at the beginning about finance and how finance can create stress in a relationship, or even finance can by yourself create stress. But with today's topics and things being out there this week, I want to thank you. I want to leave it open to you again. Hopefully some more people jump in here and have the opportunity to have that discussion. But as I try to do most, I will fill in the blank while there's gaps. But the more that people type in, have comments, the easier that this will flow. So, talked about addiction some this week, and the first two articles that I had was really trying to inform and educate people about the science behind addiction, because I think that until you truly understand what the science is behind it and the setup of the brain, the makeup of the brain, which I knew none of this before I went to rehab, it's really hard to comprehend. And I would say the second part is, until you have someone that's been affected or impacted by this, it's really hard to understand. You might just think, well, I don't understand why they're having so much trouble, but you always have to remember that it's not just you compared to them. It's many different areas of life, and the human brain and body is a very complex thing. So want to talk about that as well. And this will be recorded, but those people coming in and coming out, I am really looking for people that would like to talk about anything and everything. You can type in comments on the bottom, and it'll come up to me. We have the opportunity to discuss that. I would like it to be an open discussion where you are giving, hey Doug, thanks for coming in, buddy. An open discussion. If you have any life topics that you want to talk about, again, I'm not here with all the answers. I'm just here to facilitate, give input, my opinion, and then love hearing what people's perception is on the bottom as well. Maybe even have a friendly debate if that's the way it goes. But so if you have anything, go ahead and type it in. If you're coming in, why don't you go ahead and type in too where you're from, where you're watching from tonight. That way I have an idea exactly where everyone is located nowadays, because I know a lot of you, but I don't know where you are. I knew you back when I was a little bit younger. So go ahead and type that in. And I'd like to welcome to all the new friends and followers that have joined me as a friend on Facebook, and really those that have started to follow the mission of Grace in Your Corner. Again, this is something that I'm very passionate about, helping everyone that's out there that's struggling, and families that are struggling know that it's okay, that you're not alone, that there's help out there for you, and we're gonna tear down that stigma, and hopefully you can learn from my experiences, because I was right in the heart of it for a long time, and I hope to expose myself and the weakness that I had, so you don't have to do that, because there are ways around what happened to me, and that doesn't have to happen to you. And that is why I'm out here doing this now, is to prevent as much of that as I can. So we got just a few people in here, but let's go ahead and continue to talk about addiction. So one thing that I wanted to stress across, and I hope you got the point, is addiction is a disease. It's been labeled as a disease by the AMA for over 50 years. And that's something that I didn't necessarily know. I think a lot of people think addiction is a choice, which the word choice is in there, but it's a disease of choice. It's a disease of not being able to regulate the correct choices. And that comes from the chemical balance in your brain, and that's why it's very difficult to understand, because most people, and the weird thing is I was this way for a long time too, is most people can regulate that, and that choice is not that big of a problem. Hey, Crystal, thanks for typing in the bottom there. Lenexican is good. I hope all the girls and everyone's doing great. Yeah, make sure you tell them hi, and hopefully we run into each other again someday. But as I was saying, so not everyone has that same problem, but the people that do, they have to have a plan in place. And honestly, the first plan should be this. It should be have a support plan in place where people can help you that do not want you to drink. Get a plan in place to do that. I'm very fortunate that I have a support team around me that, if I told them, I'm choosing not to drink. I haven't had a drop of alcohol since January 25th, since I was pulled over. And you know what? January 25th will be the last day of my life that I have a drop of alcohol. And I'm okay with that. Not everyone's that fortunate. Some people are around others that might peer pressure them, saying, you know what, why don't you just have a glass of wine to celebrate this? Or one beer is not going to hurt you. Why don't you go ahead and have one beer with us? But if you are doing that, you could not be any more in the wrong. Because one thing you need to know about someone that abuses alcohol or any drug substance, one thing that you need to know is even if they've been clean for 25 years, if they start using, and it might just take one glass of wine or one hit of cocaine, you name it, they will pick up right where they left off. And a lot of the times it's not where they left off, it's actually worse. So if someone tells you, if someone consoles in you and confides in you that you need to help them out and just let them know, request their wishes. Don't ever peer pressure someone to do something they don't want to do. I don't have to worry about that. And I'm not worried at all about me touching the stuff. I feel like I have a plan in place. But it is exactly that. It is having something in place, because I didn't have that for a while and I failed miserably. And I lied a lot. I did a lot of things that I regret. Obviously, number one is I got behind the wheel of a car after I'd been drinking. And it took that moment for me to go ahead and realize that I had to have an extensive plan in place. And that plan is going to support groups. That plan is a therapist, it's psychiatrist, it's being honest with my family, it's being transparent with you guys. I feel like the filling you guys in on my situation, my life, is helping keeping me modest. But that is something that I have little tolerance for, is someone that's trying to peer pressure someone else into drinking, especially when you know that person might be dealing with an abuse problem. And that'll lead me to the next conversation. I've had quite a few people that have talked to me that are concerned about either their own drinking or the drinking of someone else. And they just wanted to know, hey, what could I do? How do I approach that situation? What do I know? And through those conversations, I just like to ask questions. I just want to listen. I want to get as much... it's hard when my husband drinks in front of me and knows he's not an alcoholic, but it's still okay. And that's a great point. That might be a conversation that you have to have with him. So I have told my family and Lauren, my wife, I have no problem if they drink in front of me. That doesn't bother me. But if it's a trigger for you, then hey, good to see you, Judy. If it's a trigger for you that he's drinking in front of you, then I would have an open conversation about that. Because if he truly loves you and he wants to help you through that, then hopefully he could respect. Again, that's what I would do. I would have that open conversation and say, you know what, that really hurts. I know that you can handle it, but it really is hard for me and it might trigger me. It'd be best if it wasn't in front of me. But I can understand how that would be. And you have to know those triggers, and you have to make sure you identify those, and you have a way to come up with a plan. But that's a great point. But anyway, I was talking about having conversations with other people and listening to things they said, and many red flags came, and that is what led to me writing that yesterday, just giving you my top 10 things that people are saying that to me is a red flag. And again, that's all circumstantial. It could be the quantity that they're drinking. It could be the frequency that they're drinking. And it could be how often they're saying those excuses. But if you start to run into what seems like a lot of defensive type conversations, a lot of denial, and if you're starting to catch someone in a lie a lot, there's probably an underlying reason to that. And I'm just speaking on my experience. That's what I did. I lied a lot. I put a lot of the blame back on other people. So I can quit whenever I want. I think that is maybe the number one thing that people say. I can quit whenever I want to. Okay, that makes sense. But why are you having that conversation in the first place? And then when would you want to quit? Because if you're having a conversation that you can quit whenever you want to, that's probably because there's been a question about how much you're drinking or when you're drinking in the first place. So if you can quit whenever you want to, maybe you need to think about proving by scaling back how much you're drinking. But then I've also seen, someone stops for 2 weeks and then they go right back at it. That's not really quitting, ladies and gentlemen. That's called 10 to 14 days. Okay? So we need to make sure that just keep an eye on that. And I quit the entire month of December, proving it to people. I can quit. I don't need it. But when I came back, I started exactly where I was at, actually a little bit worse. And it was just a disaster. So no, I couldn't quit whenever I wanted to. And if I started back up, then I needed help. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Another one is comparing yourself to someone else that is consistently more inebriated than you. That is not impressive, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you're always going to find someone go to Arrowhead Stadium on a Sunday, you're going to find a lot of people that are drunk out there. That doesn't mean that you don't have a problem. So just keep everything in perspective. And those people coming in and coming out, throw some topics out that you want to talk about. If there's anything about addiction, if there's a different topic completely, I'm trying to fill the gaps as people come in and out, but I would love to have an interactive conversation. Judy, I'm sure you have something you want to talk about. That would be great. Valerie, you just came in. Something that you would like to touch upon to further our conversation today. It's about 7:27. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Love to hear what you have to think about the topics we are currently discussing. I've noticed that I binge drink. So number one, I would ask the question to myself, if that were me, why did I start drinking in the first place? Is there a reason? Am I trying to escape? Am I trying to numb? Am I trying to give myself relief? And if the answer is yes to that, then that's what I'd be working on, and I would not turn to a substance to do that. And if you're binge drinking, you're starting, and you are just going out and you think you're going to casual drink, and it turns into, several, then I don't know. I mean, I guess that to me, I would think to myself, maybe I don't have control of it. Maybe I need to do something differently. Maybe drinking is not for me. Those are thoughts that would run through my mind. And if you can go for months without drinking and then stop, why would you need to start back up? I guess that's what I would ask myself. Is the question I would say is, how was my life? If I compare my life, how was my life when I was drinking and I was binge drinking, and then how was my life when I was clean for 2 months?
I got a question.
Yeah.
You want my question?
Sure. My wife is coming in.
I'm Facebook Live too. What's your favorite part about being sober?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, my favorite part.
Look about you. Sorry. I just thought we were supposed to look at the camera.
You're supposed to type in. I got people following the rules, and someone's cutting to the front of the line tonight just because she's trying to be behind my shoulder. All right, I'll get back to you in a second on my favorite part of being sober. But I'm curious what you feel. I'm curious as to what you feel would help when someone has an addiction. They know it, and they have tried over and over again to stop, not to no avail. I'm also always to encourage, but not sure what I should say or do. Yeah, I guess that's a great question, Judy, and I would love to talk to you maybe after this is over or through some other means so we can maybe get more specific into the details, because I'm curious everything that they've done. And if there's something that has been successful, I'm curious about the people in their life, the support system that they have in place, and how they're not how they're accessing alcohol, because if it's a substance, if someone wants to use it, they're going to find a way to use it. I mean, if I wanted to still be drinking, we could have no alcohol in the house. I'm going to find a way to do it. But support, sure. And if the person wants to stop, then there's nothing that breaks your heart even more. And that's one thing that people, like I wrote about, people don't realize is a lot of these people want to stop. A lot of people really, 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 really are in pain and they're suffering. So let's talk about that afterwards. But I think you can't quit. You don't give up. I would keep looking at avenues. I don't know if they've been to rehab, but rehab was a big part of what helped me. Everyone's different, though. Everyone's different. So let's talk a little bit more about that, because I'm really curious, and I wonder if there's more options for that person that they haven't gone through. And So Lauren jumped in here and she did a little cameo and asked me what's my favorite part of being sober. And I would say the last, I don't even know how many days it is now, I don't even keep track, but I don't miss it at all. And I would say it's just the confidence that it provides in myself, the clarity that I see life in, the ability to enjoy things, the freedom that I have to not worry if I've been drinking or not, because that really just brought on more shame on myself. And it allows me to manage my depression. And my depression, I had to rate a scale yesterday on a podcast that I'm going to be doing, and it was rate your depression currently 1 to 10. I said 1. The only reason I said 1 is because I couldn't put 0. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm on a great spot. So that's the biggest thing too, is just not drinking alcohol has allowed me to focus on depression. When I had both of them together, it was just a deadly combination of antidepressant or a depressant that just didn't work for me. So a great question. Anna and Brittany, welcome to the chat. Again, we're just throwing out topics tonight, talking about whatever. We've talked a little bit about helping people that are trying to quit and haven't had any success with it. Talked a little bit about triggers when someone is trying to quit drinking and they have a spouse or friends that continue to drink in front of them. So I really would like to hear any topics that you guys have. Otherwise, I'll continue to fill the void, but I might not always deliver exactly what you're looking for on that aspect. And alcohol addiction killed the girl's dad. They never been told that. It's much more serious addiction than what some people like to believe. So I'm glad that you're getting the help. Yeah, thank you, Crystal. And again, I feel like, it's, yes, overconfidence probably, but I really feel like I've got a plan in place that's going to help me stay on the right path. And it is serious. I've met a lot of people that have had organs that were shutting down, and that's scary. But it's the reality of the beast. It's that bad where people know that they're suffering and will continue to drink. So it's really, really not a great thing at all. But yeah, good point. So Ashley, hey, thanks for joining. Ashley, type in there and let me know. Did you get your shirt in the mail? I mailed it last week. Laura, thank you for joining in. Anything you want to talk about tonight? Could be anything and everything. Parenting, addiction, depression, marital issues, you name it. People drink in front of me, it doesn't bother me at all. I personally feel weird when people don't, that typically would in their life, because I feel like I'm altering what everyone else would be doing. And I've made that very clear to people too, even my family, my wife. She is. Hey, Dublin, want to make an appearance? This is my dog, Dublin. I never wanted a house dog in my life, and I gave in after I came home from rehab. I wonder why. But no, I mean, people can drink in front of me. My wife, I told her have a glass of wine. We'll go out to dinner. She'd have a glass of wine. My family had a baseball game. They had a beer. It absolutely does not bother me at all. It would make my life a little more awkward if everything changed around me. So that's where I'm at. But some people that doesn't work as well. But quiet out there. Let's someone throw a question out. Someone throw a success out. Something that's going on in their life. Kelsey, welcome. Brooke, welcome to the chat. Today there was a great article that I posted from a friend of ours, Adam Griffin, and he just talks about putting life in perspective and judging people. And he refers to it as the guy at the bar. When you're in there and you see someone just sitting by themselves, not knowing what they're doing, you don't know that person's story. You don't know the heartache that they could be in. You don't know, what could have happened before. To me personally, so my parents picked me up from Kansas City before they took me to Newton in rehab, and they took me out to eat. And I think they were both out of the booth at one time, and if someone would have came by and saw me, I looked like a wreck. I look like a wreck, and people probably walk by thinking, what is this dude's problem? If they had any idea, if they were judging, had any idea what I was going through, maybe they'd have a little bit more empathy. But the point is, they can't understand that in a walk from 30 seconds or a minute of just seeing me at the table to know what my life is. So just be quick to give people grace and not judge. That's a big piece of it. So I have about 5 people in here. I'm not sure if we are going to get any other questions that are going to come through. I'm not seeing anyone other than Judy and I, so questions. Yeah, there's a few more people. We've got 6 total in here. Fairly quiet crowd tonight, though, so if I would had to guess where we're going, I've got a couple blogs coming up. One blog that's coming up is I want to take you through my brother Tanner, his personal insight on battling cancer. He had testicular cancer diagnosed about 3 years ago, and just he's going to lead you through his journey of how God helped him through that and his family. And that is an emotional piece for me too, because my first cousin and one person that I looked up to and I still look up to, and one of my good and really best friends, Kurt Sedbeck, and his family. Curtis Sedbeck is back home from Nemaha County, and he was just diagnosed with cancer, testicular cancer as well, and is starting that journey. And I'm going to be by his side just like I was by my brother's, but it felt like we just went through this, and prayers and thoughts go out to him and his family. I know everything's going to be fine, but just the battle that it is to go through that and the impact. So Curtis, Mindy, if you guys ever run upon this or any of their family, God bless you guys, man. I love you with all my heart, and I'll be there for you as you go through this, and I'll be there, of course, by your side if you need me at any time, and I'll be there for you afterwards, for sure. So Nick told me what you are doing, and I was all in. You're doing an amazing thing. You will change the lives of so many. Thank you. In the years to come, so proud of you. Thank you. Yeah, shout it out. Shout it to the rooftops, and we'll continue on. So I do have a few things booked. That's one of the main things too. Is I'm trying to get things booked. Got booked at a church back home, Freedom's Church. I've ate ice cream at Freedom's Church, ice cream social for about 15 years. I'm booked in Manhattan, Kansas for a women's group. I am booked for a podcast on July 11th from another principal that we interacted with on Twitter. It's called The Depression Files. So that'll be coming out. I'm working with the NAMI right now, the National Alliance of Mental Health or Mental Illness, and then a few other things. So I'm trying to get booked, but if you have any ideas, go ahead and shout it from the rooftop, and I will But we will go ahead and wrap tonight up a little bit early. The internet connection is blinking on mine. So not the best effort or for me tonight. I apologize for that. But I'm glad that everyone that did join in, people that see this afterwards, feel free to reach out and we will continue the good work. Grace in your corner, and thank you for being on our team, and thank you for supporting, and we will continue to march forward. Have a good night.